Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the broadcast today, John Katsilometes joins us. He's the daily entertainment columnist for the Las Vegas Review-Journal, also the host of the upcoming Mobbed Up 3. He's here for the whole show on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Fantastic cocktails and delicious food.
It's a good time to eat.
Over 500 hot slots, plus electronic table games.
It's a good time to play.
Player rewards and big-time jackpots.
It's a good time to win.
Ooh, your good time's a tamarack.
As you know, Reno is booming. Toll's development company is helping it grow with insightful design and development, building community with every project, adding beauty, adding excitement, emphasizing our shared humanity. Reno is becoming bigger. Toll's development is helping it become better, more livable, more enjoyable. To learn more, go to tollsdevelopment.com. tollsdevelopment.com.
Save money and take transit. Did you know you can ride the bus all day for less than what it would cost you for a gallon of gas? Plan your trip now by going to rtcwashoe.com.
Big R in Sparks is located on Bering Boulevard next to Smith's and across from Reed High School for workwear and everyday wear. Evaporative coolers, outdoor living, Weber's, Traeger's, and Lodge. Fill your propane tanks here. Big R on Bering Boulevard in Sparks next to Smith's and across from Reed High School. Big R. Hardware, clothing, and a whole lot more.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we're delighted to welcome back to the program John Katsilometes. He's the daily entertainment columnist for the Las Vegas Review-Journal. Pleasure to have you back, sir.
Great to see you, Sam.
So, finally, we are about to launch Mobbed Up Part 3, the third season, the final season, I am sad to report, but really looking forward to it. You know, it's a fascinating time here in Nevada as we look back over the whole mafia period. At the same time, we're seeing, you know, the coming to the end of the Goodmans' 25-year reign as mayors of the city of Las Vegas. And I know that a big chunk of this program is going to be about you and Oscar Goodman having a conversation, a great conversation, I'm sure. But, you know, Mrs. Goodman would be an incredible story, too, because I don't think anybody has really interviewed her, unless you have, about what she saw during those days.
That's true, Sam. Yeah, it's, as you say, 25 years of the Mayor's Goodman. That covers almost my entire life here in Las Vegas. I moved here in '96 when Jan Jones was mayor, and Oscar had yet to enter into the political forum. So as far as current Mayor Goodman, Carolyn, we did interview her for this, and her voice is in this. And you're right, we could have a whole season of Carolyn Goodman. You know, maybe not on Mobbed Up under that title, but that's a very interesting story. And I think what I found from Carolyn and from Oscar Goodman is how dedicated they are to each other. You know, they were very careful to, you know, consider each other as they were talking to me. And even recently, Oscar said, "Oh, I hope Carolyn's going to be okay with all this we've done." But I think one thing was that Oscar was very aware that his practice, his law practice, was spilling into his home life in a very disquieting way. You know, he talked about being surveilled at home, that him and Carolyn felt that their house was bugged, that he at one point found evidence of that happening. And Carolyn was often, you know, I think that her thing was she was advising Oscar not to be too close to his clients. That was her consistent piece of advice through his whole career. Don't get too close to these guys because you don't want to be associated with them personally, you know. And that was throughout his legal career up until the decision to run for mayor, and she was instrumental in that as well. You know, she had to sign off on him deciding to run for office for his first term as mayor.
You know, I think that every serious married couple, whoever the lead is in that couple, always has a discussion with their partner as to important decisions that are made in life. And I got to interview Jahan Sadat, the wife of Anwar Sadat, the president of Egypt. And I asked her if she had had a discussion with President Sadat about the possibility that if he went to Israel and brought peace to Egypt and Israel, that the potential there was for him to be assassinated. And she said, yes, they absolutely discussed it. So I think in all power covers, but I mean, that was one of the heavy, that was probably my favorite interview of all time that I've ever done.
Well, that's a rare opportunity, and you've said it. And that type of awareness is often left to the spouse, because these people of power, and while they're in power, often are unifocused on their objective. You know, whether with Goodman it was his clients, or what the next case was going to be and where he's going to have to travel. Where Carolyn, I really felt, was the one who was on the exterior, kind of saying, Oscar, make sure that you are safe. And when we're safe, and that you aren't, that this, when the case is over, this relationship that you've developed with whichever client it was is also over. And I can't say that I can really relate to what that was like in those days, but we are talking about notorious, reputed mobsters, notorious individuals who are being tailed by local and federal law enforcement all the time, and that meant Oscar was being tracked all the time too, and he's had evidence of that was delivered to him after he was out of office. Even logs from the police department that talked about his activities. Oscar's going to the airport. Oscar has flown to Philadelphia. Oscar's back. Oscar seems like he's in a bad mood. Oscar drove home, and so that was going on. It wasn't just hypothetical or paranoia or anything. It was really happening.
I believe in one of John L. Smith's books, he talks about some of these mobsters coming to dinner at the Goodman's home.
I would say that probably happened. I think that did happen. And I think and of course they traveled together, as a part of practice too. Oscar tells a story about being on the road with Tony Spilatro, at one of his, whether it was in New York or Philadelphia, and Spilatro always made the reservations for the two of them and always put their rooms side by side. And Tony was known to get up very early in the morning and make a racket while he was making coffee in his room, intentionally to wake up Oscar so they could have coffee in the morning together. So the fact that that was part, that they shared social time together is, I'm sure, accurate.
For folks that have not got into Mobbed Up, and I can't believe that there are still some that haven't, because there's over 2 million downloads of the show so far in the first 2 seasons. Stan Hunterton was featured in Mobbed Up, and he passed recently, but he was an incredible force in fighting the mob in those days.
Yeah, he's in the series, and we have left the series intact with his voice in it. And we have a number of individuals, Stan included, with whom Oscar butted heads. And I think you'll notice that it will resume the conversation, the debate that those two had about their roles in law enforcement. And Stan's obviously, of the opinion that Oscar was representing people who were bad individuals, were criminals, and Oscar's counter to that is he was going to make sure that they were treated constitutionally fairly, and that law enforcement didn't overstep their bounds. That was always Oscar's defense. So that put him and Hunterton completely polar opposite at the time of Oscar's career.
And isn't that the role of a defense attorney, which is it's not about whether the client is innocent or guilty, it's about giving them the best defense possible.
Yeah, that's what Oscar's always said. Whether it's been, whether he's believed in his heart of hearts that some of these individuals were guilty of their crimes was not the point. That wasn't the point. The point was to defend them to the fullest. And often Oscar is prone to hyperbole, as we know, and he would say, I didn't even realize there was organized crime. I didn't even realize there was a mafia when I was representing these people,
Right.
which has drawn considerable skepticism because he's such he's such an intelligent and well-informed individual and exhaustively researches everything. I don't know how that's possible personally, but he's always landed on the side of, we got to make sure that law enforcement is obeying the law themselves. And that was how he defended Spilatro and had great success with it too.
It's just an amazing story. Did you get into, and I don't want you to give away too much from the upcoming season, I want people to listen to it, but did you guys get into, for example, the Kennedy assassinations at all with Oscar Goodman and his thoughts on whether the mob was responsible, Giancana in particular?
Not that specific. Yeah, interesting. You should mention the Kennedy assassination. Peripherally, with Charles Harrelson at the Kennedy assassination is invoked in our conversation. Woody Harrelson's father, the actor Woody Harrelson's father, who was accused of shooting Judge John Wood in San Antonio, Texas in 1978. And Harrelson was known for Kennedy assassination conspiracy buffs, or Kennedy assassination buffs was often pointed to as being one of the would-be assassins at Dealey Plaza on when President Kennedy was assassinated November 22nd, 1963. He was a key figure in that, and so Oscar referred to him as that was one of the cases that for which Charles Harrelson was known. But we didn't talk about the specifics of the Kennedy assassination itself, other than in context that the investigation into the Jimmy Chagra case in relation to John Wood being assassinated was more intensive, I think, than any other at the time, other than the Kennedy assassination. So we found Harrelson involved in both of those cases. Yeah, so it was to describe Harrelson is how the Kennedy assassination came into play.
It's a sad time at the Review Journal and for newspaper lovers and journalists all over the world for the fact that this is the anniversary of the murder of Jeff German, who wrote and helped produce the last season of Mobbed Up, season 2. And when I asked him about the Kennedy deal, he said it was possible. I mean, yeah. So I thought, and I was blessed to have, I believe, the last interview with Jeff before his passing. So it's great that people can still go and watch Jeff and hear his voice, even though he's been gone
he
now.
was. Yeah, I worked with Jeff for 18 years in 2 different publications dating to our days at the Las Vegas Sun, and then he came over to the Review Journal, and I came over after, a few years after that, and we worked together on this Mobbed Up when we were investigating and chronicling the history of the Aladdin Hotel Casino, and my role with Jeff was to get Wayne Newton to talk about the Aladdin. So Jeff and I got together and had conversations about how I was going to interview Wayne, who I've known for years. I've known Wayne 25 years, and I've known him in a different way. We didn't have a lot of conversations about his days of owning the Aladdin and how that all worked out, in his rivalry with Johnny Carson over the purchase of the hotel, and his rivalry with Johnny Carson generally, all of that. And his reputed connections to organized crime in that era. So Jeff, we went back and forth, and Mike, and it's similar to what happened with Oscar Goodman too. I had a line into these individuals that was important to Mobbed Up. So Jeff said, "Okay, let's role play this thing," and we came up with a list of questions for Wayne. And I told him, I said, it's going to be an uncomfortable conversation. It's going to delve, into a topic we've never discussed, and he hasn't talked about in a long time. So I gave him a heads up to know what was coming. And Jeff was really good about, listening to me and talking about how to present this interview. So I went up to Montana, where Wayne has a summer home near Kalispell on Flathead Lake. And we went into his house and we did two separate sessions. We had about 2 hours of interviews. One was about the Aladdin. The other one was about his career generally up to that point. And he was just extending that. I think he might've been just announcing that he was going to the Flamingo. So that's how I worked with Jeff. And we were two different types of, certainly we're in different areas of journalism. You know, the way I work with as a daily man about town entertainment columnist, and Jeff is a very seriously minded investigative reporter. But we both saw how we could help each other, and this was not just in Mobbed Up. It was over the years. Jeff would often come over to me and ask about what events I'd been to, who was sitting with whom, you know, what was going, you know, kind of, and I'd tell him, you know, my assessment of the relationships in the city were when he was working on something, and yeah, we worked together for a long time, and it was, you know, yeah, it's a year anniversary, and I don't know what else to say. I tell people it was an attack on a friend, it was an attack on a colleague, and it was an attack on what we do as journalists, all of that, and I just don't know what else to say. I'm just lost for words when I think about what happened to Jeff. But we are doing our best at the Review Journal collectively to keep his spirit alive and the tradition of journalism alive that he helped instill as well.
All right, let's take a break. More with John Katsilometes after this timeout.
Remember 2010 in Northern Nevada, 13 to 14% unemployment, thousands of homes in foreclosure, Nevada's casinos closing? Families in the Reno-Sparks area were hurting. Many were losing everything. Then Story County launched a game changer for our region, a public-private industrial partnership, streamlined permitting, slashed bureaucracy, attracting Fortune 500 companies that made Nevada their home. Story County generated a river of cash to area communities. Economic studies by the state and others for the Gigafactory consistently show positive economic benefits for our region. $4 billion in local wages, $17 billion in consumer spending and economic activity, over $100 million in taxes to Washoe, Story, Reno, Sparks, and Nevada, just for the Gigafactory alone. Story County, improving Northern Nevada one industry at a time.
It's the $100,000 Cash is King Progressive giveaways at Carson Valley Inn. Giveaways every Saturday with a Progressive up to $20K and $15,000 in guaranteed grand prize giveaways. There's another 100,000 reasons to play and win at the Carson Valley Inn.
For 50 years, Nevada Heating has been keeping people comfortable in their homes. At Nevada Heating, call the Do It Right guys and get the air conditioning back on today. That's the Nevada Heating way. Why sweat for days on end when Nevada Heating can get your air conditioning fixed today? Call us today and we'll fix it today at 323-5585 or schedule us on our website at nevadaheating.com.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with John Katsilometes. He is the daily entertainment columnist for the Las Vegas Review Journal, also the host of Mobbed Up 3, which drops on September 14th, and we cannot wait for the latest edition. Sadly, it'll be the final edition. Hopefully they may rethink that. But I want to talk to you about your other beat here, which is your daily beat, which is the entertainment. So this past weekend, weddings were on your mind and on a lot of other people's minds. Tell me what was going on with one of my favorite people, Lorraine Hunt Bono.
Oh yeah, Lorraine and Dennis Bono. Yeah, it was the 70th anniversary of Las Vegas being dubbed the wedding capital of the world, from a story that appeared in the London Daily Mail in 1953. Okay, so there was a reference to that, and the community and Lynn Goya, the Clark County clerk, decided to have a big celebration, drawing a light to Las Vegas's image and history for weddings. So we had 300 or so couples at the Octavius Ballroom at Caesar's Palace renew their vows. And we had Patrick Warburton conducting the ceremony. You might remember him as Putty from Seinfeld and The Tick. And he does shows here in Las Vegas at Jimmy Kimmel's Comedy Club. He did the mass ceremony. We had 10 Las Vegas entertainers or entertainment acts performing songs from various decades, beginning in the 50s. So it was the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, up to now. So we had people like Clint Holmes, Bob Anderson, the Righteous Brothers, Earl Turner, Lorena Perel, the singer from Fantasy, Bronx Wanderers, Zoe Bowie closing it, and Travis Clorer, who used to be in Jersey Boys, he was in this show. It was, as I led the column coming out of this, Travis Clorer came up to me after the show, and I'm looking at this crowd at Caesar's Palace, all these people dressed up to renew their vows. So this whole thing with the Bonos, Damian Costa co-produced it. He's a Las Vegas native. He's a big entertainment figure, executive in Las Vegas, who founded a new company called Pompeii Entertainment. He was co-producer. Dan Slider, who wrote the song. All this going on, and Travis comes up to me and says, "So Vegas." I go, "You know it," on a Sunday afternoon. So it was interesting, Sam, as I went back and looked into this. Lynn did a remarkable job of assembling the whole thing and having the idea to do this on the anniversary. But I looked at that original story that they drew the phrase from. The second paragraph says, "The city has claimed to be the wedding capital of the world." That was the way they stated it, where we were saying that they were calling us the wedding capital of the world. The story says we'd already been saying it, even in 1953. So what we've done is apparently given ourselves a title. They quote us, we take the quote and own it for this whole era, for the whole topic. And we do this big party. So even that, I said, well, that's so Vegas too, to take a quote and create an entire industry behind it. But it was a lot of fun. It was great. We had a replica Elvis and Priscilla Presley cake made by Carlo's Bakery, Buddy Belcastro's bakery here in Las Vegas. They made a replica, a non-edible, a display cake from their marriage at the Aladdin in May of 1967. So it's all up on the site. And it was wild. The photos are great. It was just a really only in Las Vegas event.
Only Vegas. All right, let's take another break. We'll be right back with John after this timeout.
Take a look at Pro Group Management and see how your workers' comp requirements can be met head-on. By taking a proactive approach, Pro Group can assure that your company is meeting or exceeding state and federal standards. As you move forward in your industry, Pro Group moves with you, simplifying regulatory tasks, clearing the way so you can get the job done and look to your future success. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Safety is the #1 priority for the trucking industry. Over $7 billion a year is spent on technology like this electronic eye that will apply the brakes automatically. But the most important factor for safety is the truck driver. These hardworking men and women who safely move over 70% of our nation's freight and 94% of Nevada's. We thank you because trucks move America forward.
What do you count on? You count on your power every day. At NV Energy, we've always powered what's important to you, but we're not looking at the past. We're focused on the future. While our standards are high, our rates will remain low. And our commitment to renewables isn't just meeting standards, but leading the way. Because you can count on more than just your power. You can count on the company who brings it to you. That's our promise. You can count on it.
The Nevada Builders Alliance has been protecting the interests of the construction industry for over 50 years. Our programs save members thousands of dollars every year and allow them to provide much-needed benefits to their employees. Our industry also allows Nevada to grow. If you're thinking about a career in the construction industry, reach out. And if you haven't thought of a career in construction, what are you waiting for? We are the Nevada Builders Alliance.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with John Katsilometes. He's the daily entertainment columnist for the Las Vegas Review-Journal, also the host of Mobbed Up 3, which will be dropping September 14th, and you can catch up on the first 2 seasons prior to that if you would like to. I was surprised, I don't know why I should be, that Katy Perry was part of a production at Allegiant Stadium, not as a regular concert, but as a private event. How many of these are going on?
We have them crop up periodically. They happen quite a bit, and they are always very, very well, locked in. You have to go to social media to find the evidence of it. But this particular one was for Hilton Honors, and it was last Thursday. And Perry was hired to perform for executives with the Hilton company, hotel company, and some of their top level rewards members were here for a conference, and they were staying around town at the Venetian and Virgin and Resorts World. I think were the 3 hotels they were staying in. There were about 10,000 in town, and occasionally they will rent a facility and have a closed show, what they call a private or corporate event. And Perry was the headliner. She brought her play show, the show that's called Play, from Resorts World Las Vegas over to Allegiant Stadium. Paris Hilton, who's a DJ, the heiress of the original Baron Hilton, was DJ. She opened for Perry, and Perry did her show and made about $2.5 million, from what I am told by people who know these numbers, to do one show. And they happen periodically. And I think she might have done something last week over at T-Mobile Arena too. I'm still looking into this. I heard later with Sting, that was something unrelated to this the night before. So that happened too. And that was another, they do happen. They happen at arenas. They will happen at open festival grounds. They'll happen at private events for families. Like the Fertitta family has hired Bruno Mars and Marshmello and John Mayer and that level of performer for private events out at Red Rock Resort at their big conference center. So it happens, and they make bank on these, believe it.
Oh man, to say the least. Hey, thank you so much for doing this. Can't wait till September 14th for Mobbed Up 3, and thank you for doing this as always.
Always a pleasure, Sam.
Thank you, and we'll be right back.
Imagine a magical garden that feeds Carson City's hungry and homeless, teaches our high school students agriculture, creates hanging floral displays to beautify downtown, and yet charges nothing. It's not magic. It's the Greenhouse Project. It's real, it's growing, and it needs your help. Go online to carsоncitygreenhouse.org so together we can grow it forward.
7 at 7 is a newscast built for your smartphone. It's a 7-minute newscast available every weekday at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. at LVRJ.com. We don't waste your time, and we give you the day's top stories.
We at the RJ have noticed some similarities between us and a certain BTS character, RJ.
Plus the latest in Las Vegas business, weather, health, and entertainment news. 7 at 7 streaming now on your smartphone.
Modern boutique Ahern Hotel and Event Center sits at the heart of the Las Vegas Strip. 2 floors of meeting and event space are ideal for groups and conventions. Stay in one of 200 luxurious rooms and suites. Brand your event throughout the property. Flexible event spaces make for easy planning and personalization. Take over the entire hotel with a full buyout option.
Thanks for watching Nevada Newsmakers. You can always watch Nevada Newsmakers 24 hours a day by downloading the audio or video podcast, watching us on YouTube, or just go to the website, NevadaNewsmakers.com. See you on the next broadcast.